Welcome back to the Moisture Farm. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving holiday. I am here today with a playtest of Jango Tarkintown. In my last video, talked about the meta, some November tournaments, and we saw a lot of this going around. So I kind of sculpted this a little bit off of like what the trending cards are for Jango. Obviously, with this is a live playtest, so I had to, use the cards I had in that I actually have in person, which is most noticeably why you only see one Ruthless Raider down there. We'll go card by card here real quick. Definitely, if I had three Ruthless Raiders, I'd be playing all three of them. I just acquired another one, so if I revisit this deck, I'll have at least one more with me. But let's talk about each of these. A lot of one drops in here. I think this just kind of it works well. Being able to go wide in certain instances. ISB agent. You're really, that card is really more of. It's almost like an event, really more so than it is just a unit. Playing the ISB agent, revealing an event to deal 1 damage to a unit, obviously. Works well with Jango being able to exhaust. So we want to be doing a lot of that. ISB agent is big for this, and that's why obviously he's an obvious choice, one of the most important cards in this deck. A couple Death Star Stormtroopers and Greedos to help us, trade up into some bigger units, especially Greedo with that discard ability. Swoop Down is a card that's definitely going to the sideboard, but this is going to be a more heavy space unit deck. We've got I think 20 or so space units to like 10 or 11 ground units in this build, so Swoop Down in case we needed to go after something really important on the ground, but doesn't really get used very often, so I think Swoop Down goes to the sideboard. Daring Raid is excellent in this deck, just a really good common card. Force Choke, or as I like to call it, the Sabine Killer. I think you main deck a couple of these, and then a potential third sideboard depending on what your matchup is. Like Sabine, I think I'd probably side in one more of those, just because I really want to have that card in my starting hand going up against the Sabine. Cartel Spacer. I think I need one more of those. It's it's a space unit, so we get to build our board in space, and then we also get to exhaust something. Playing it on curve alongside like one of the other one drops is fantastic. No Good to Me Dead. We talked about that a lot. It's just like a really good event, and it kind of builds into our synergy of keeping things pinned down, keeping things exhausted. Crafty Smuggler, 2/2 shielded is just a really good turn 1 play. Kylo's Tie, good stats in space, low cost. Pull it out turn 1, not bad at all. Surprise Strike, for obvious reasons, just in a yellow deck. One of the things I really like about both Surprise Strike and Breaking In is like once we get ISB Agent down on the ground, right? Not very impressive stats. 1/3. He is nice, ISB Agent. Like in subsequent phases after he comes out, you can like swing it into something and then exhaust it. And you don't feel bad doing that because it's just a 1/3. At that point, after his when played ability happens, he's just a little 1/3 guy. Surprise Strike lets us trade it up into something. Deal 4 damage on an attack into something if we need to. So, and obviously, like if we just want to get 3 more damage into base, it's awesome. So this card kind of lends itself, even though it's kind of seen as more of like a tempo aggressive card. In this deck, I think it lends itself to more like kind of mid-rangey. We can do multiple things with it. Same with Breaking In. And then in our 3 drops, we have most of our high quality space units here. So 7th Fleet Defender, 3/2 shielded. Punishing one 3/4 in space is just like really good stats. And, occasionally you get to use his ability if you can play the line right. And that can be really strong. Lurking Tie, I talk a lot about. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. I just love being able to use this card. The Elite P-38 Starfighter is like maybe the real MVP of this deck. 3/2 in space that pings something on play and on defeat. So, with a Jango deck, we just eat this up. Because once Jango flips, we don't have to exhaust Jango to use this exhaust ability. Once he is out as a leader, it's just constant. If you deal damage to something, exhaust it. So we really like the Starfighter here. Ruthless Raider, really good for what we're trying to do here. Deal 2 to a base and to an enemy, and obviously that triggers Jango. So we like that. Oh, I almost forgot to talk about the Flamethrower. The Flamethrower, in case you're wondering, like for rules wise, that does trigger Jango's ability, because any unit that obtains an upgrade that carries an ability like the Flamethrower does, counts as the unit dealing that damage. So it sort of inherits this as its own, semantically, so that it counts for Jango's ability. So this thing, it's kind of one of those like more fun parts. Like, might not be the most viable way to play this deck. I threw 2 in here with the main goal of trying to get it onto Jango more than anything. And when it comes down, it can be a lot of fun. Triple Dark Raid, I think I might need to buff up my vehicle situation a little bit higher. I think 20 is like a little too low to play this effectively. I've definitely had some playtest games where I whiff with this card. Hate whiffing on Triple Dark Raid. That is the worst. I think I just need to maybe like take out a couple of these events. Pretty event heavy in this deck. In order for Triple Dark Raid to hit, because like when it does hit, it's really strong, especially like with this guy, because it goes back into your hand after the phase. So when you're able to bring out this guy with a Triple Dark Raid, you get that ping and exhaust, and then it goes back in your hand, and the next phase you can play it and do it again. So pretty nasty here. Fet's Fire Spray. This is most certainly the home of Fet's Fire Spray in this shell, following the Boba suspension. Fet's Fire Spray absolutely belongs here. Like in the competitive scene, Fet's Fire Spray belongs right here with Jango Tarkintown. This card has put in work for 2 sets of this game already so far, and in this deck it keeps it alive. And then the 1 Persuader tank is kind of one of those like things that I saw trending online. Just splash one of these in here, may come in handy. So I just thought I'd try it out, see what that's all about. One card that I would like to like keep in sideboard, definitely not main deck, but sideboard, is the Cad Bane Legendary. Obviously, once you get to 7, by the way that this deck plays out, by 7 resources, that Cad Bane unit might just be a finisher. If you're going into the 7 resource phase against like a soft or hard control deck, and you've already put within 5 damage of lethal on there, and maybe they just have like some sentinels or have something in the way trying to build their board and keep you from getting in those last few points of damage, you drop in the Cad Bane, and that very well could just end you the game. So definitely a card I think that I would like to try testing in the side here, especially like against like the blue decks for sure. But we're gonna run a couple games and see how this thing plays out. Spoiler alert: this deck puts in work. I mean, we've already seen those tournament results, so we know that it's it has something. So let's find out what that is. And away we go. Took the Jango Red to my local game store. Running against my man Corey, rocking a Anakin Blue. He ends up not having a turn 1. I'll just throw a Greedo down, and we'll go to next phase here. We got a Village Protectors. Comes in 2/2 Sentinel shielded. We do not like shields with Jango because we need to be able to get that damage in to do exhaust. So I just have Greedo take that shield out immediately and then use Greedo's ability to discard and try to finish off that unit. But alas, it comes up short. So we'll just play the Lurking Tie right on curve, which I'm okay with. No problem with that at all. We love playing Lurking Tie. Now, Corey does have answers to Lurking Tie playing in blue. He'll play one right now, the Perilous Position, which will give it -2/-2, and remove it from the game. And we'll bring out the Starfighter, so I'll get to deal 1 damage to the Sentinel and then exhaust Jango to tap it down. Just one of those cards that has really good synergy with what we're trying to do. And then I'm going to Tarkintown the Village Protectors just to get rid of it. Tarkintown, I think that's like, Tarkintown thrives when you can just get rid of early turn plays. Push a damage across and then get rid of, basically just took out a unit for free there. He's going to follow up with another Village Protector, which is not super cool. Gotta unexhaust my Jango there. I'm going to Surprise Strike the Starfighter in, just put some damage on base. He brings out his 2/3 Restore Space unit, and then follow that up with a Punishing One. Like I said, just really like the stats for Punishing One, and then like every once in a while that ability will kick in, and it's really nice. I'm flipping Jango and then just taking that shield off of the Village Protectors. Really don't want shields to be hanging around here. So Corey's going to take the Restore into my Starfighter, and then on that defeat ability, I'll deal 1 to the Village Protectors and pin it down. And although it doesn't seem like huge plays, like that's 4 damage I've kept off my base so far, just by pinning down the Village Protector Sentinel. I almost forgot that was a Sentinel. I tried to swing into Anakin. The 4 damage, and I've, my base is damage free at the moment. So, nice. It's done its job. ISB agent's going to come down. I get to deal 1 to Anakin and exhaust him. In this matchup, if you can find ways to ping Anakin and exhaust, you're going to be okay. You do not want Anakin. Now he's got a Jedi lightsaber on him, so we really do not want Anakin attacking. Corey bravados and readies up Anakin and gets to swing Anakin into Jango, which will take him out. We're just calculating the math because of his Jedi lightsaber, how much damage goes through with Overwhelm. Ends up putting me 5 on my base and only 2 damage going back to, or only 1 damage rather going to Anakin on that attack. I'm able to claim initiative, and first things first, ISB agent will sacrifice itself in the name of tapping down Anakin. And Corey's going to come in with a Cassian. I'll make sure to get 3 in on base. So still have a decent lead right now. We have to, that lead completely goes away if Anakin's able to swing. So I get to play out a Fire Spray. He's going to force throw me, so I'm going to have to discard that last card in my hand, and he will decide to put that 3 damage from 7th Fleet Defender's cost onto the Fet's Fire Spray. And I will retain initiative. We'll go to next phase here. And I'm definitely, and Anakin also now has another Jedi lightsaber, so I need to find a way to keep that from swinging onto my base. We're doing the math. I think so that's 4 plus 3, 7 plus another 3 is 10 just on Anakin, and then with the ability he's getting 3 more. So I've got nothing in my hand that's going to stop Anakin from swinging, so I'm just going to get 5 in. with Fed's Fire Spray. So it's going to put me at like 19 damage on my base, I think is what happens here, right? So I forgot to bring my little magic counter thing, so I'm just putting that damage on dice for the moment and going for 3 more. Corey claims initiative, bring in another Fire Spray, so immediately defeat the one that was in play. The one that I played comes in ready, and then the dagger for Corey. That went by a little too fast. I'll break down everything that happened here real quick. So the disadvantages of playing the video at 120%. So the moment that Fire Spray hits the mat, I have to choose one to defeat because they're both unique units. Obviously, I'm just going to choose the exhausted unit, and now the played unit gets to come in ready. I get to swing in for 5 more. At that point, Corey's base is at 25, 8, 9. Oh, I messed that up. He's at 29. And then last card in my hand was a Daring Raid to finish off 2 more on base. So, skin of our teeth finishing out that game. But, able to get the dub there. And, Anakin swinging big into my base. Ideally, I would have had another answer to that before he was able to do it, like another ISB agent with an event or another Starfighter. But, alas, all I have here is another Fire Spray and the Daring Raid. So, all right, here's Jesse with that Anakin Blue. I'm going to apologize in advance. There's going to be some autofocus shenanigans going on with my camera in this game. I end up not playing a turn 2, or a turn 1 rather, so we'll just go to next phase. Jesse's got the Queel down right now, 2-3, potential card draw and some restore, so pretty solid turn 1 play for him. And so my first card that hits the mat is going to be an ISB agent, revealing Surprise Strike. So we'll ping Queel for 1 and then use Jango to exhaust him. And the way Jesse's doing his dice is showing 2 remaining, which is a habit that we need to break because that is not how you play Star Wars Unlimited. Jesse is going to play the red 3. I'll Tarkintown Queel. And, keep Jesse from having that big of a board. And we'll just go to next phase here. I guess I didn't have any two resource plays in there besides the Surprise Strike, but obviously wouldn't have been able to play that. So Jesse's going to have initiative here. Now, one thing that Jesse does here, I believe... initiative is very, very powerful, and he forgot to grab the token, but he does have initiative right now. Initiative is very powerful for a Jango deck. If I'm able to retain initiative, I have a lot of ways to dictate how the phase plays out and the order that things happen. So Jesse's going to put down a restored unit right here. I like if you're sitting on the other side of a Jango, get your damage in on your units before I've got a chance to tap them down. Especially, if you have something that you can come down to be like, like a when played ability that provides some value, then, that might be a different story. But in this situation, I think get that 3 damage in, especially because I'm going to make him pay for it. Bring in another ISB, and that's 3 damage that he does not get to have on my base. And he goes with an A-Wing. So now Jesse's got a wide space board, which is able to answer mine, my potential space board. So I'm going to triple Dark Raid here. See what we come up with. Playing the Starfighter, this is exactly what I wanted right here. Gets to ping red 3 for 1 more. And then... because of the A-Wing has raid 2, it's just a base 1 damage. So what I get to do here is swing the Starfighter into the A-Wing and keep it alive so that when it can come back into my hand and I can play it next phase. So, by playing that card, I weaken the Red 3, which is obviously a very good space unit for Jesse, and I'm able to cleanly take out the A-Wing, bring that back into my hand. Jesse's claimed initiative by now, so I'm just going to get 1 damage into base. So, really, really strong situation for me, being able to keep, triple Dark Raid into something to remove space and also survive, so I get to keep that card that has a really strong win plate ability for my leader. Feeling really good about that. Obviously, having 2 ISB agents on the ground is not extremely strong, but we are doing all right. We are now on my leader flip turn, though. So now Jesse's going to make sure he gets in that damage in for base. Playing 2 for the Cartel Spacer, which lets me exhaust there. We love the Cartel Spacer. And the Village Protectors comes down. And immediately I just want to get rid of that shield. So ISB agent's going to put himself out there, put 2 in to pop that shield, take a couple back. And there's some autofocus cheese. Haven't figured that out yet. Or remembered to figure it out, I should say. So I've got 3 resources up. You might kind of be able to see one of those cards in my hand that I'm thinking about. Obviously, we have that Starfighter in my hand. But there's one special card there that I'm wondering if I want to go for. I believe Jesse has taken initiative at this point. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want to use... End up deciding to go with the flamethrower here on Jango. Flipping with the flamethrower, I get to just attack into Village Protectors. Quick thing with rules-wise here. When I do that, on attack, I assign that 3 damage before combat because it's an on-attack trigger. So... that's obviously enough damage to kill the Village Protectors, which means that Jango escapes combat damage because that on-attack damage is assigned before combat happens. The unit is defeated. Jango no longer has a target to engage in combat with, so that damage just fizzles. So Jango remains unscathed, which is nice. So I do have 4 units on the board. A couple of them are, they're essentially 1/1s now. But Jango with the flamethrower is a little spicy. So Jesse puts down another Village Protector. Once again, not being able to, putting the Village Protectors down instead of getting that damage in, from, saving itself from any ping effects. But now Anakin flips with a shielded Sentinel. So you trade some off here. So one thing I forget to do here is I think I forget to put my damage counters on for the Village Protectors. And it's not a huge, the way this plays out, it's not going to be a huge deal. But keep in mind, Jango does have 2 damage on him from Village Protectors. And some more autofocus. Oh boy. So Jesse goes 2 to base. Restore 1. Somehow finding myself playing from behind here. And I believe I just claimed initiative there. Realizing that Jesse was completely tapped out of resources and units. I get to claim initiative. I think I could have played another card there. I think I had 2 or 3 resources up. But... retaining initiative here allows me to do something here. So Jango swings out the 2 damage. Now Jango's not going to take that 2 damage, obviously, because from the flamethrower, I'm going to assign 2 to Village Protectors and then 1 to Anakin just to do enough to exhaust him. So Jango does escape combat damage there. Keep in mind he does still have 2. I just forgot to put counters on there. Second Jedi lightsaber going on Anakin again We are definitely weary of that. We do not want that going into our base at all. So I'm going to decide to sacrifice my Starfighter to deal another damage to Jango or to Anakin, and then get some damage in with Cartel Spacer. Do a couple damage with the ISB agents, and then lay down the Fire Spray and a Death Star Stormtrooper. So Fire Spray will get in some damage. I've got the Trooper on board. My camera is wigging out, unfortunately. And then we will go to phase. So Jesse keeps in... I mean, there's no way I was going to be able to take care of Anakin, especially now he's got 13 minus 4, so he has 9 remaining damage to take care of him. Not something I could have done. Now, Jesse does have initiative, right? What he's going to do here... Oh, he forgot to draw his cards. So you may have seen what he pulled out here. He's going to do something that we'll need to talk about. So he's going to play Forces with me. It's an event. He's going to give 2 experience counters to Anakin, shield him as well, and then swing with him. So, first of all, he absolutely should have swung Jango. He's going to target the Death Star Stormtrooper with this. He most certainly, positively should have taken out Jango. But he gets a little bit greedy. The reason why he swings into Death Star Stormtrooper, I'm assuming, is because he knows that with the Jedi lightsaber, I mean, he could have targeted any one of these, but with the Jedi lightsaber, the Death Star Stormtrooper is going to, it's going to die due to the -2/-2 from Jedi lightsaber, just even the first one. So, as a bit of a rules note, when that happens, the Death Star Stormtrooper does die. Now, with Anakin having Overwhelm, that damage is still, it's going to go as Overwhelm damage to my base. It's considered excess damage because Anakin chose a unit as a target. If that unit dies due to some like on attack ability, the Overwhelm damage does count as excess damage. And so basically he's for free swinging into something. So that's all going to go. We're just going to sit around and do the math for this, but obviously Death Star Stormtrooper is going to leave play. And we're calculating how much damage is going to go onto my base. Short answer is a lot. A lot of damage is going onto my base. I think it's 4, so 7, 10, plus 2 more. So 12 damage going onto my base there. And Anakin retains his shield because he didn't take any damage. So let's take care of that shield immediately with ISB. And I believe he claims initiative again at this point. So now I have to take care of Anakin because he's claimed initiative. So, I'm sitting at 15, so 19 damage on my base. Absolutely lethal if I cannot take care of Anakin. So now I have all my resources up with, the sole purpose of taking out Anakin. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to surprise strike ISB. The total amount of damage I have to deal to Anakin is, 7, 10, 13 minus 4. So 9 damage we need to deal to Anakin. So we'll start with a surprise strike to deal 4. My camera is not cooperating. So he's been dealt 8 damage now. So you can see I've got the Persuader tank in my hand here, but I want to make sure I exhaust. If I do exploit to play, I want to make sure I get damage in there. So get 7 damage in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources up, which means I can play the Persuader tank, exploiting Cartel Spacer. When played, I'll put 2 damage into Anakin. And then that puts me within range to deal all 3 of my Vamp Race damage to him. Did I do the math right here? So he's at 8, 2, and then 2 puts him at 10, and then I can use all 3 from the Van Brace to take out Anakin before combat is done. So, wild exploit shenanigans. Just had enough damage to do it this way, which leaves me Jango once again is, and then I chose Jesse's base as the target for Jango's attack. So I was able to get 3 on a Jesse's base, put all 3 of that damage into Anakin to finish him off, and it leaves me with my leader still untouched, big tank, and the fire spray on board. So another game that kind of like barely pulls out of. But I mean, the thing, like, we're not even sniffing this game as far as like sniffing winning this game if we're not capitalizing on pinning units down with Jango and the cards that synchronize well with him. Lots of and Tarkintown too. Like, if Queel would have been able to swing once, that's 1 damage off of at least 1 damage off of Jesse's base, and 2 into mine or into a unit or something. So the synergy of Tarkintown and Jango, similar to how well Cad Bane synergizes with Tarkintown. It just does a lot of work. And this is a deck that, as we also saw, like, Anakin is really popular right now competitively. And I think the blue variant is probably very popular with all of the Jedi synergies, the big Jedi units. So this is definitely something, a matchup that, we may be seeing a lot of. These 2 decks going head to head might be the 2 titans of set 3. And we were able to squeeze 2 games out against it, which felt pretty good. This is a deck that I think I'm going to be, keeping constructed, maybe taking to, at Fire and Ice, we do like some smaller constructed tournaments a couple times a month to, kind of simulate and get, have everyone test out their decks. This is something I'm definitely going to try doing one of those. I might even be this upcoming Friday. So maybe able to even, get some footage in shortly and show you how well it does in that scene. And I'm keeping tabs on this one, keeping this deck put together, throwing in one of those Ruthless Raiders when I get a chance. And we'll see how well this keeps up going forward with the meta, until obviously, the next set comes out to shake it up again. Let me know what you guys have been putting in, what's been working with you with this build. Some things that I should have done, some things I shouldn't consider. Let me know, and we'll see you for the next one.